can see him on TV or radio very soon. Just
too beautiful for radio.
Have you ever heard that before? You have a face for radio?
Oh my god.
People will say that, yeah.
I've never heard that.
That's really good.
That's me.
All right, we ready? Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am your host Neil Winterregg with Matterhorn Business Development. Welcome. If this is your first time here, hit a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below. We are in a push to hit our next milestone of subscribers, which is 500, which doesn't sound amazing at the moment, but we've been growing rapidly. We've been doing 3 videos a week about profit first, selling, making money, business rants, you name it. Today, we have a special one for you. We're gonna do a CEO/entrepreneur interview with my good friend, Dr. Ashok Tyagi. Dr. Tyagi is the CEO of a company based out of USF called LeapCaller. And we've been friends now for a little over a year. I think I met you. They came to my networking event that I hold here locally. And at the time, LeapCaller was a bit of a prototype. Now it's officially kicking ass and doing well. And so what I want to talk to Ashok about today is how you actually can follow up with your prospects better, what type of things you should do to be following up with your prospects. Most people don't make nearly enough phone calls or reach out to people enough. But before we get into all that, why don't you tell us, Ashok, a little bit about yourself and a little bit about why LeapCaller was created to actually solve this problem and how you kind of came into that.
Sure. So, as Neil mentioned, I'm Ashok Tyagi. I'm a physician. I'm a pulmonary critical care doc. As well as what we did have was a physician recruitment business. And in physician recruitment, what you do is you have to recruit physicians as well as hospitals. So in order to reach out to them, what we need to do is call them. My wife and I, we run a small business, and in order to compete with them, we had to get technology on our side.
Because I imagine there's a lot of recruitment for doctors.
Lots.
I would imagine that there's a couple of companies out there that do this. Is that correct?
Very competitive market.
Very competitive, okay.
Very competitive market.
And you're a small business.
Small business.
And you're like, how do we hang out with these big boys?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we just stumbled upon that technology because we started, I was actually encouraging my marketing guy to make more phone calls. Reach out there and make phone calls. Don't have enough leads, you're not gonna close. So I kept telling him that, and finally he pushed back and he said, well, why don't you try it? And as soon as I tried it, I realized how sucky it is to make those calls, how labor intensive it is. So we decided to make LeapCaller a solution for ourselves. That's what we did. Okay. It was that simple.
So it was Leap Doctor, which was the recruitment company. Then to help speed up the process, you decided to develop a software to help automate the process.
That's correct.
And you called it LeapCaller.
That's correct.
Then you guys realized you were kind of onto something here, weren't you?
Yes. So well, we realized that LeapCaller, as we started building it, first just a calling feature to help Leap Doctor out. But as we started building it, we realized, look, if we're having this kind of challenge, so is every other small business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was that simple. And so we said, you know what? The market space for LeapCaller is actually a lot larger than any Leap Doctor opportunity would be.
So you felt like that was a better business plan?
Absolutely.
Instead of staying in the recruitment and pounding out thousands of phone calls and all that kind of stuff in a competitive area, you decided to kind of pave your own way with the LeapCaller platform.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, we would be very competitive in the Leap Doctor space now if we wanted to go after physicians, but the market was a lot smaller than what LeapCaller can do because there's so many small businesses. In fact, they say about 95% are small businesses in the United States. So we said, why don't we target small businesses and give them the opportunity to compete with big businesses out there? So that's what LeapCaller is.
So in a nutshell, before we get into the actual doing the do's and don'ts of contacting and reaching out to people.
Sure.
Explain kind of what LeapCaller is for those people who don't know, just so that they have an understanding of it. This obviously isn't like a paid advertisement for LeapCaller or something like that.
Yeah, I don't want to make it don't want to make it an advertisement.
Just so that they understand what it is.
Okay, so Neil and I went about a year ago, and about a year ago when we met, well, we were talking about how to grow our business, how to market, and he's right. When he first came in, LeapCaller was a shell of what it is.
Yeah.
All it did was make calls. It made calls, and it made calls rapidly. Not a robocall dialer, but made calls. And Neil's number one thing he keeps telling you is you're not gonna get business if you don't bring in leads. You come in with leads, and you gotta move them down the pipeline. Cold, warm, hot.
That's right.
And you need multiple touches across it. And what do you mean by touches? They say on average you need 7 to 10, 7 to 13 touches. Depends on the market, but you need those many touches. And I am a great listener. So watching Neil, I'm like, okay, well, how do we get this? How do we get the leads? Obviously, start off with the leads. And then how do you get all those touches? And touches is emails, text, call, coffee, in-person, conference events, all those kind of things. How do you get to all that? And watching Neil and Neil educating us, we started quickly learning, okay, we need to figure out how we can automate this feature. And then what we did with LeapCaller, first it was just a calling, it would automatically call.
It was like an auto dialer.
It's an auto dialer.
But it was better than an auto dialer.
Yes.
But it was basically an auto dialer.
It's an auto dialer, and what it does is it automatically calls for you, and you drop voicemails, and you move on. But now you could hit all those markets, all those. What would take you 8 hours if you could do it and make those calls? It would take you about an hour. But besides the calls, you can leave a voicemail or text. Texting.
Yeah.
Right now, the statistic is about 90% of people are going to read their text. At least 90%. So, but texting is not the only way. You can't be afraid of reaching out to them through calling because some people still want a phone call.
And this is the biggest problem that I run into with people is it's like, well, did you get in touch with that person? Oh, well, I sent them a text. Like, okay, I sent them one text thinking that was going to be the solution to the sale, or that was going to be the solution to all of our problems was, don't worry, guys, I texted him.
Yes.
That's not enough.
Not enough. Texting is a very small part of it. One of the things that really stuck with me when he was training us and has been teaching us is communication occurs two ways. There is no communication if you're just pushing it out.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're calling or whether you're emailing or whether you're texting, zero communication occurred unless they call you back or contact you.
That's right.
And so listen very carefully to you. And so what LeapCaller is doing is not only is it sending outgoing calls and emails and texts, but you're also receiving that. And that communication is important. Now, everybody is different in their way of communication. Some people like the phone call. They love the personal touch call. Some people just like the text. Some people like the email. Now I'm seeing more and more people I bypass emails. Emails, whatever.
Small percentage open the emails.
So what we learned quickly was use multiple platforms to reach out to your clients.
So I'm going to tell everybody a little bit of a story about how we used LeapCaller just recently. And I told you, but I want these people to understand kind of what it did for us. So we were at this event. It was with Keller Williams Realty. There was probably 900 realtors there. The author of the book Profit First, Mike Michalowicz, was speaking there, and my dad and Abby were there as the Profit First gurus, right? So about 80 to 90 people dropped off their business cards for more information and wanted to be contacted if we did anything with Profit First. Plus we were doing a drawing, so some people wanted free stuff, right? So anyway, they come back from this and we have 90 business cards. And we're like, oh my God, now where do we start with 90 leads? You just start calling. So what we did was Abby and I split the group in half, and we used the LeapCaller photo function to snap a picture of every business card and automatically uploaded their contact into a list specifically for the people from there. So within probably 25 minutes, we had everybody in, and we sent a text to them all through LeapCaller. So my idea was send a text, and whoever answers that text is automatically at least a warm prospect. So then we sent the text, we got 7 or 8 responses. Those were the first 7 or 8 people that I called, closed a little over half of them for the process that we were gonna be starting in December, and then started calling the rest just randomly through LeapCaller. And then it's like, good, now we need a second text message. So we sent a second text message yesterday, got 2 more responses of people who wanna talk with a time available. And it just automatically makes sometimes you can go into overwhelm of like, oh my gosh, look at all these names and all these phone numbers. You have to reach out to these people as quickly as you can. And if you just sat there and dialed to reach them, it's gonna take you a long time because you're gonna call, you're gonna get distracted, it's gonna take you days to work through these numbers. But with it being automated, they get a personalized text from you that says exactly what you want it to say. And this is what people are afraid of doing. People are afraid of reaching out and talking like you're bothering somebody.
Right.
You know, I don't have the viewpoint that I'm bothering somebody by calling them for something that they said they were interested in.
Yeah, I can actually speak to this. this was a challenge for myself as well. But listening to you, Neil, if you actually listen to what Neil's selling, it makes sense. What you need to do is reach out to them, be human, provide them a solution. It's really that simple. But in order to do that, when you get all these leads, it becomes an overwhelming process.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
So we created, actually mirroring what you were saying, and created a product that actually helps you through that.
Yeah.
From collecting the lead, talking to the person, reaching out to the different mediums, just making life easier for you, yet maintaining that personal touch. Have to maintain that personal touch.
Personal touch is key today. Everything is so automated with voicemails, and when you call your bank, you can't even reach somebody anymore, and all this stuff. And so I find that the personal touch is always the best way to go. And I say this all the time, but the more technologically advanced we get, the less in communication we are with the other people around us, right? Everything is done by text. Everything is done through a Facebook Messenger.
Right.
Just text me. I don't need another way of you texting me. Right. Oh, do you have WhatsApp? I'm like, why do I need WhatsApp? I have a cell phone with a number, right? Okay, if I'm texting India, I need WhatsApp. To text you in Tampa, I don't need WhatsApp, right? You see, like we get too far, and then it's like our business becomes that way too. And so LeapCaller is a way of keeping it personalized because you are using real life communication. Like you said, you can do a robocall, but you're better off just doing a mass text than waiting for people that you can actually follow up with and have, a one-on-one communication with. So what are some other things that you've learned or noticed now that it's been a little over a year that LeapCaller's really, it was a year ago that I sat you down and we had this big idea, this board of ideas, and I told you to erase it all and focus on just a couple of key features, which we got done in January. We called that LeapCaller 2.0. That was like the real deal. But what have you learned this year working with LeapCaller, working with more clients? You've got some diversity here.
So since July, we have had 3 to 5 clients. Now we had 100 plus clients. And that's maybe 5 months, maybe 6 months, 6 months of it. How we did that? Very simple. We practice what we preach. LeapCaller is a product built for us to grow as a small business. It's inexpensive. The medium's inexpensive. It hits every single touch point that you want. The only thing we can't reproduce is you talking to the person in person. But it will tell you, it will also even send you a reminder, hey, you need to talk to them. You can set it up like that. Now, what you did with your campaign, when you got the text, you can actually automate that so any contacts in the future that come in can fall into that database and they'll follow that campaign that you've set. Email, text, call, all those things, however you've set it. The most important thing to figure out is what's the medium that works for your customer or your client, and reach out. The other thing is not to be afraid to reach out. I can tell you that I've made a bunch of calls. This is just my own experience. I make at least 20, 30 calls a day. And when I'm talking 20, 30 calls, that sounds like a lot, but
you're not in the office very much.
No.
You're usually out meeting people.
Maybe 30 minutes, no big deal.
I always say people in sales have to have a short memory.
Right. But I gotta tell you, honestly, they're willing to listen.
Yeah.
They're willing to actually listen and see something that can help someone else, why not? Yeah. So any product that or service that you're actually trying to deliver, as long as you believe in it and you actually this is one of your father's thing. Yeah. Help them. Help them grow, help them be better. Yeah, that's all you're trying to do. You're trying to help them. You're not trying to scam them. So if you're trying to help them, then why are you afraid to reach out? Why are you afraid to get those touch points?
Exactly.
You just need to learn to get organized.
If you believe in the product, don't feel bad for reaching out to somebody to help them.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
If that's what you're there to do, be willing to help them. So at least once a day, be willing to call, be willing to reach out. And if you're doing it from a point of good, you can't feel bad about that.
That's correct. That's correct. One of the key things I learned from you is get a yes or a no, not a maybe. It's doing no one a service. Get a yes or a no. And at least communication happen.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah. Make communication happen. Get some sort of a decision.
That's right.
If it's like, oh, well, I have to think about it and I have to do that, I'd say, like, listen, I'm totally fine with you calling me in 2 days, but we're just wasting time here.
Right.
I got to call back. You're going to be busy. What's the point?
You'll be pleasantly surprised by the results.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
I don't want to waste people's time.
Yes.
Right? So being honest is definitely important, right?
Yeah.
But being willing to help that person is also the key thing. And if you're confident with what you do, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to text. Don't be afraid to email. Don't be afraid to call. And the only thing that you can do that separates you from your competition really is the customer service that you provide and the communication that you provide.
That's correct.
You can't worry about what their billboard says. You can't worry about, I tell people all the time, like, people are like, oh, I saw this billboard of my competitor and he's doing it at this price. And I'm like, just because he has a billboard up doesn't mean he's making money.
All right.
And is that price make any sense? No, that price doesn't make sense. Good, then what do you have to worry about?
Right.
He's not making any money if somebody does buy it from him.
Right.
So focus on the customer service aspect, focus on the communication aspect, and that's what I always try and preach and teach. And I think that LeapCaller is just one of those ways that helps you do that on a broader scale, which is why I wanted to talk to you. Plus, you are a doctor, you are a physician, and even before medical school, weren't you an engineer of some sort?
I was a chemical engineer. Yeah.
Chemical engineer. So you've done a lot of different things. Now you're an entrepreneur, creating your own software company and doing these types of things. What would you say before we end off here? It's running about a little longer than normal, but what would you say you've learned in the last couple of years that you've been like an entrepreneur that you want to maybe communicate to somebody out there?
That's a tough question.
I know. I told you I was going to give you softies.
Okay. All right, fine. So what's the number one thing is to be genuine about helping someone. If you're willing to help them and you really believe in your service or product, you will have no problem getting clients and customers. None at all. You do want to get ahead with technology. You do. Everybody else is. So you don't want to get left behind. There are multiple solutions. If not LeapCaller, there are multiple solutions out there. I am biased towards my own solution. Why? Because of all-in-one platform. So you don't have to worry about piecemealing multiple.
Plus, I like how you guys are local. You were designed by USF students.
Right.
You were designed by local to the Tampa Bay area. And when I call there, I get a real person helping me out, not just like, an FAQ part of the website or, sitting on hold at some big corporation, with a phone room with one person in it who's backlogged. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just believe in your purpose. Believe in your purpose of what you're trying to do or achieve, and that's it. It's that simple, and then go out and get it. That's the biggest thing that I've learned. Don't worry about these little hang-ups. All these can be ironed out with a man like Neil. It really can get.
I'd say the biggest change between you and then and a year ago was you're more willing to communicate, but also you used to have so many ideas that it would backlog the other projects. And that was when I sat you down and was like, you're not allowed to put any new ideas on this board until all of this stuff is done. Remember that?
That's correct.
That was about a year ago, because it was like over Christmas, you guys were going to get all those things done. So, you wanted to have the business card scanner, but then there was 15 other things that had to be done first. And I said, you got to table this. So you've done a lot better at that too.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think the very first step for any small business, get organized.
Yeah.
Get organized with all your leads, all your prospects. If you could get started there, you're at least 50% ahead of your competition, because most of the competition cannot get organized with their leads.
Yeah.
They can't figure it out.
Yeah. Or they waste them.
Oh, they waste them.
They call it once and then they never call the lead back again. Or they do an interview with the person and just wait for them to hear back from them. That's waste.
I'll give you an example. I have right now 200 clients, and all 200 clients are going to go through some sort of the platform. And as they go through the campaign, every single of them, one must reply back. If they're not replying back, we're following up within a week. We're falling back within a few days. We have a campaign set up, but all 200 of them have to say a yes or a no.
To an email or to
an email or a text or whatever.
Yeah.
We're not going past the 200. Although we have a 50,000 list that we can go through, we're staying at the 200, clearing the 200 before we move to the next level. That simple.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Don't waste what you got, right?
Don't waste what you got. You don't need more lists and database and stuff. You have the list.
Every business, every salesperson always thinks that their problem is not enough leads.
Correct.
Do something with the leads that you have.
Correct.
And you'll realize you have more than you thought.
That's correct.
Right? It's all sitting there.
It's that simple.
Well, I hope that this was interesting to you guys. I hope you learned something out of it. To find out more about LeapCaller, you can look in the description below. I am biased because I like them and I like their product, But obviously, the goal of this interview was to just focus your attention on how to communicate with people better, how to reach out to your clients better, kind of the mindset that you should have. And that's why I wanted to bring Ashok in, because this is what he's been doing as an entrepreneur, diving into this sort of realm. It's not something that a lot of people want to do. So the fact that you've dove into that is pretty good. And I like how it was made out of the need to grow your own business, which is like a really cool byproduct, right?
Yes.
So if you have any questions, please let me know. Happy holidays to you all, and we will see you next time.